Thank you, Rajiv. Yeah. Welcome, Jana friends, to my talk. I'm so happy to be here with you all in through the voice and through the video medium. And I'm very happy to be able to speak to the group. The title of the talk is Values and the Human Angle in the Techno Future. And this is becoming, today it appears in a sense irrelevant to us in the sense this might sound mature, this might sound what you might say too much loud thinking, excessive thinking, but people who are working in the technology field, they are saying that this is becoming very relevant day by day, and with the progress of the machines as they are moving forward, this is becoming very important, because we are into an age where in fact technology is overtaking us. People are saying that somebody said that technology moves faster than the way we can think. It is almost at that level. Now, it is not that we cannot think, but the technology, the power of the machine to process the data is becoming far more than what anybody can really think of. And that it comes up in so many situations which we may or may not have really gone through or realized कि हम क्या कर रहे हैं और ये कैसा हो रहा है. And there are so many situations where uh, which we are not sitting in India in what might say the middle or upper middle class or even the rich class situation we are not finding because India has not progressed to that level of technology upgradation, but people are finding this in such ways. For instance, when we say they use the word values, how values come up. The word values, these values business came up with the particularly with the human rights activists, and you know the kinds of things they uncover in doing this technology work. In many places abroad, they are tinkering with the idea of using face recognition at for security purposes. One of the major uses they have found applications for security is the airports. In fact, things have come to a pass where people are saying that you don't need even a ticket, because the computer knows, if the computer knows who you are, computer knows where you are traveling from and what is your destination, what's your flight, what's your gate number, etc. So just by looking at your face, the computer will it will serve as a ticket. Now the question comes up that there is a very limited time for the computer to make up its mind by looking at you as to who you are. What is called as the identification. So it is obviously in the interest of everybody to be able to do this recognition quickly. Now in the West, particularly in London, I think they found out that the way they had this requires programming the computer, that by looking at a person, and identifying certain points on the person's face, they are able to recognize who this person is. But over a period of time, they found out that the computer they is far more accurate at identifying white faces as compared to the colored faces. And this ignited the activists like nothing else, because the activists don't like the slur of racism. They don't like to be taunted as racist. But here it was proof that they were racist. So they said that no, it's not we who are the racist. Racist, it is the algorithm. And obviously, algorithm being racist means, again, algorithm cannot be racist, computer cannot be racist. Then who is the racist? Is the programmer who is the racist? Now the question comes up when the programmer says that how can you call me racist without really, it's like, convicting somebody simply by leveling an accusation. You have to prove that the person is a convict, that the person has committed an offense. You can't simply say that he's a racist. Then the whole debate started. okay, if this person is not a racist, yet he is responsible for the problem, then what really is what are we looking at? And came up the idea that this has happened because when you make an algorithm, to train the algorithm, you have to supply it data. And obviously, in London, the number of faces that was supplied to it, the if you can consider that as a total data to be that was fed into the computer, the number of different faces. Obviously, the whites were in the severe majority. Therefore, the computer trained itself. This requires for the computer beyond a point, it requires the computer to train itself to see that whether this person is a person or not. So, or who this person is. In this training, the computer, since it had more data to fall back upon, would normally go for the white as the reference phase and move on from that. Like we do in just in the kinds of results we get in when we do a Google search. That is, we are trying to search something, but Google will tell you something which is the most favorite. Google will not give you the exact answer. Google will give you a nearby answer, which is the most favorite. And this is precisely what happened in this case. Now comes the question of what we have in electoral politics. That is, are we supposed to provide proportional data? That is, say, 1,000 white faces, 1,000 colored faces. When you talk of 1,000 colored faces, there is a huge lot of variation. In fact, amongst the whites, there is less variation, and among the colored, there is far more variation of the skin tone. Even in India, even from the Kashmir downwards, we are considered as colored people as far as the Europeans are concerned. The Kashmiris, for them, they are colored; they are not whites. So, amongst the colored people, there is a spectrum of white or gray. While amongst the whites, they are comparatively less variation. Therefore, the computer prediction is more accurate because it has a much better accuracy developed because of a comparative standardization of the skin tone as compared to the colored people. By colored, I mean everybody. Whether you call them Mongoloids or Mexicans or Africans. In Africa also, there is a whole variety. Among the Arabs also, there is a variety. There are very fair-skinned Arabs and very dark-skinned Arabs. And Iranians, again, there is variety. India, as you know, from top to bottom, there is huge variation. Southeast Asia, Australian aborigines, and all the Japanese, all these people, there is such a lot of variation, while in the whites, it is less so. This is where the problem comes in, that this is what is the human angle. And beyond that lies the word of values. What is the value that you are attaching? Are you delivering merely a program? Are you delivering a solution? See, there are, the kind of layers that come up. These are like an onion. You just keep peeling off. It is very easy to say, as I said, that the programmer is at fault. It's very easy to say that no, it's not the program, it's the person who understands the problem. He's at fault. The person who delivers the solution who is at fault. The person who receives the solution and operates the solution. That is the, you might say, the airport operators, or the person responsible for immigration, the person responsible for security. After all, when you get in, who does the security? Who does this facial recognition check? That is under the security staff. So the security department, are they at fault? Are they responsible? And it was found out that, well, everybody is responsible. Now, if everybody is responsible, everybody said that, no, people will say that if everybody is responsible, then I am not responsible. Let others solve their part of the problem. So you have immediately two different values at work. One is a value to identify, once a solution is in place, really are we serving the people in a dignified way? Are we offering dignity to the person? Suppose you are your skin is has a comparatively darker shade, and you land up at the airport, and you're asked to show your face, and the face recognition says again, "I this is not working." It happens at several places, even in my own college, where we used to have, the fingerprint as the attendance system. For some people, the fingerprint didn't work, so they had to go for facial recognition. In one fellow's case, even the facial recognition does not give accurate result every time. So he keeps saying, "Sir, मेरा facial recognition नहीं हुआ." So first thing he is required is that, as per the administration's insistence, he has to send an email immediately to the system, which will have the time built in, the time sent as a built-in. That at this point, I have sent you the mail saying that I am within the institute. If he doesn't do that, he goes straight to the class. He's late. The mail is late. So there is a question whether you, and this question, it comes up only at the end of the month, at the time of drawing up the salary bill. That is, Bhaiya, were you present on that day or not? Then you have to dig up records and you have to say that, no, I held this class at this particular day. I held the first class in the morning. Then will become the question, okay, what is the proof that you held the first class? You say, yeah, I have the attendance. So the immediately counter question, you know what these people, an administration person can be like. Okay, you say you took the first class. Yeah, okay, you took a class. How do we know it was the first? So this query business keeps going on and on. This is what is meant by the dignity. Dignity of the person in this case means that you cannot forget about, that adage that a person is an accused. An accused is not a criminal till convicted. The point is, you cannot even accuse a person till the time you believe you have sufficient evidence to believe that an accusation can be leveled. You cannot even level an accusation. आज जो हम काफी चीजों में ऐसा हो रहा है कि आपने ऐसा सोच कैसे लिया मेरे बारे में, अभी आपके बारे में ऐसा सोचा था, अभी सोचा था, अभी आपको प्रकट रूप से कह दिया. If I have a doubt against somebody, can I even not voice it? We have seen in real life that if you voice a doubt against somebody, that person can feel offended. This is the human angle. And the value is, when I do this kind of, I do any work for what is so-called artificial intelligence, which is going to rule the world in the future. That is why I call it the techno future. If I do this, what value will I have to imbibe myself? How much we are, whenever we do any work, we want to be sure. The question is, you want to be doubly sure. Till that was the case till yesterday. Now, triple sure, quadruple sure, quintuple sure. आप कितने layers देखेंगे, जैसे मैंने onion के layers के बारे में कहा. How many of the layers will you peel off before you get to the real question, or you are able to answer to people? One of the major problems in this, again, each layer is of importance to somebody else. Like, if you talk to a programmer, you want a program written, so you have to talk to a programmer in the language that that person will understand. The reason is that somehow our brain has evolved to a situation where very often we can identify what are called false positives and false negatives. False positive means that somebody, we have seen this false positive and false negative in the corona times. कि आपको कोरोना नहीं है फिर भी आपको सिक बताता है, दैट इज फॉल्स पॉजिटिव. और आपको कोरोना है और फिर भी नहीं पकड़े गए टेस्ट में, दैट इज अ फॉल्स नेगेटिव. सो यू हैव, human mind at times can make out a false positive and a false negative. Computer cannot. Computer is the whole logic of the computer, irrespective of its development so far, is still binary. If something is true, it is absolutely true. Not only that, if something is true, it means it is not false. And if something is false, it means it is not true, which is not the case with human beings. You know, we go to an extent, even many of the liberal crowds, they say that no, we say that killing is a crime. Why do we execute a killer? Is that not a crime? Is that not taking a life? So the human right people, they go one step further and say, okay, nahi, okay, you execution should be barred and you should give life sentence. अभी लाइफ सेंटेंस देने से या कोई भी सेंटेंस देने से कोई भी सुधरा है क्या आज तक? By and large, many people say that if you send somebody to jail, he will he will come out a criminal, not just a convict. Anybody who has done time becomes a continuous convict. He is a convict forever. He is a criminal forever. Jail is no solution for crime. In fact, jail is a source of crime. So you are, in fact, if you are saying that jail से जो बाहर निकलता है वो आदमी सुधर के आता है, a reformed person, well, that's a false positive in that case. In which case, all convicts who get released from jail, they are false positives. Why are we having the jails in the first place? And if we are not going to have jails, why we have the police and the entire judiciary and all the lawyers? क्योंकि अगर आप फिर भी इसमें हम बाकी रखते हैं, इन इंडिया वी डू नॉट हैव दिस सिस्टम, इन यूएसए इट इज स्टिल देयर, in Britain it is there some of the time, not other time, of the jury, where simply 12 people are put to a test, and what is what is the majority? By and large, it is a majority, and very rarely do they require a unanimous judgment. By and large, a majority has to say whether the person is guilty of the crime as accused. You know the phrase, as accused. वो कितने भी उसने जुर्म किए हो, the person may be guilty of several other crimes, but is the person guilty of the crime of which that person is accused? That is the question. Now, you just imagine that if 12 people are not able to come to a conclusion all of the times, how do we certify that a computer is able to do it? How do we trust a computer? And it is being just today I heard a joke on the internet, on the Facebook, that an algorithm, when we write an algorithm, we are trying to predict how we are going to behave in ourselves. अभी हम भविष्य में कैसे behave करेंगे? Are we able to predict really? Up to what point, for instance, any one of us would be provoked into violence? Against how much of provocation when any one of us will be provoked into violence? What is our threshold? Can we say no? That means we cannot predict how we will behave. And we are trying to use an algorithm to predict how we are going to behave. This is the limitation which people need to come up with. Sometimes this works, sometimes this does not work. This is a gradual process. It is evolving day by day. But as I said, such issues keep coming up. कि आप ये आगे कैसे इसको लेके जाएंगे? How will you take this forward? And in taking this forward, as I said, these issues come in. The photograph issue, I said, is a very, very small issue. You must be hearing situations every day on the Facebook and everywhere. Obviously, I'm not trying to take a stance pro-government or anti-government. But for instance, this entire Aadhaar card scheme, the whole idea is that with the help of biometrics, you are able to be sure that a certain person is what that person claims to be. We are trying to use our fingerprints and our retina scan. But you'd be surprised, when this drive was taken, was being held, when the fingerprinting was being done for the first time, when the people had come to our college for taking our fingerprints and taking the biometrics for the Aadhaar card, I asked the person who was taking this, and I said, "Okay, I have my father who is 90, and I want to bring him in." He instantly said, "No, please don't, because after 90, the fingerprints just get so much washed out or so much worn out that machine is not able to recognize. And I have found it so surprisingly true. One institution where I am going to, a club belongs to my friend belongs to the club, and I go often to there often with him. They have started a fingerprint system for letting people in, and this guy says that these people have made such a hopeless system because they have kept the sensitivity very high, that if something is not detected, it will simply say, no, you are not the person. It will not detect. As a result, 90% of the time, people have to give the thumbprint 3 or 4 different times. Then only will it work. This is because of the algorithm. And this is what is going to cause a problem in the future. Like I said about the face. Face mein to, chalo, color can play tricks with the computer because we have not understood the science of color ourselves, how we really perceive color. You might have seen that in a very dark area, you are not able to see color properly. Why so? The answer is not yet clear, at least to the extent that it can be explained to a layman. Okay, color. Why is the color dependent upon the amount of light also? Well, it is. So one could think of problems associated with facial recognition for the persons of color. You might say that we have made a good start and we could build on it and go further, and they maybe tomorrow, maybe day after, maybe in a year or two, maybe in 5 years time, we will be able to have a program which will not be offensive to anybody. Now, unfortunately, all of this goes to the government, and government's problem is that government is required to give equal treatment to each and every person. Like, if it is, even if government is not able to provide it, government insists that others do it. For instance, you want to start an educational institution, you have to provide for equal access to the Divyang. You will pay for it. Not government is not going to subsidize it, but you have to do it if you want a government license. Now the question is that you have a person who is having a problem of the fingerprint, is not able to give the fingerprint. The person is not able to provide biometric markers for his or her identification. What do you do with that person? Is that person there at all or not? Huh? वो है या नहीं है? It is like that Musaddi Lal. You must have seen that old TV serial, Musaddi Lal or Office. Somebody made a movie on that also, Office, which was a condensation of the entire serial. That a person, he says that I am so and so. Government says, what is the proof? Finally, the person comes up with an affidavit from his neighbor. So the government officer asks the neighbor कि तुम्हें कैसे पता है ये मुसद्दी लाल है? तो बोले कि ये तो मुसद्दी लाल ने कहा, ये तो इसने ही कहा था कि ये मुसद्दी लाल है. Okay, then it is not acceptable because he keeps saying he is musaddi lal. How are we to believe it? So this is a problem much beyond the techno future, but the issue that has come up is because of the difference. You have, say, all sorts of persons fighting with each other. The boss can come in and say कि नहीं ये मैं कहता हूँ इसलिए तुम्हें ये करो. So the subordinate has an answer. He will simply say कि नहीं ये हो गया, अभी बॉस ने कहा है तो मैंने कर दिया. I am not required to go into whether I am right or wrong, or my action is right or wrong. Boss has said it, matter over. बात खत्म. But a computer cannot say that. Computer is programmed to work in a certain way. So computer will say that this is this and that is that. Like, on Facebook also we are seeing that Facebook is accused of, promoting hatred or promoting partisanism, polarization of the ideas. Why does that happen? Because you see a post, you will give a like. If you like it, you will give a like. A similar post comes up, you will give a second like. A third post comes up, you will do it third time. Computer remembers all this. Facebook remembers all this. And it finds a pattern in amongst all that you have said. And it will show you only those posts for which you are likely to give a like. Because they want you to spend more and more time with the Facebook. Same thing as you know very well for Google. कि आप जो चीज देखते ही जाएंगे वही चीजें आपके सामने आएंगी. So this is the human angle. Now the question behind this, what is the value in it? What is the moral value in giving you what you like? Opposite question. What is the value in giving you something which you don't like, which in fact is likely to create a problem with you? Suppose you are in a since let us remove ourselves from the Indian politics. Suppose we are talking of the American politics. You are a Democrat. You keep liking pro-Democrat posts and anti-Republican posts. Suppose suddenly the algorithm is tweaked and you are being shown some pro-Republican and anti-Democrat posts. Will it have an impact? It will not have an impact unless and until the post is persuasive in itself. कि वो अगर आपको जान के आपको ऐसी भाषा में वो बताएगी, कंप्यूटर आपको बताएगा कि नहीं, these are the what you might say as a moderate post. You know, when you already have a position, if an exact opposite position comes up for you, then you'll be even more on your guard. You'll be even more steadfast in your support for your cause. But only if there is a mild persuasion, still milder persuasion, still milder, if it keeps building, someday you might get softened up. And in a moment of weakness, you might start softening your stand. You might say, rough out the sharp edges. वो सब आप लूज करेंगे, आप धीरे धीरे करके सामने वाले का पक्ष भी समझेंगे. Then there might be some point in showing you the posts of the opposite side. But the way this is going on, this is what you might call as the reinforcement effect. कि आप रिपब्लिकन हैं या तो आप डेमोक्रेट है, तो आपका जो भी प्रिजुडिस है वो रीइंफोर्स ही होते जा रहा है. And that is what you might find with any of your friends living abroad. You will find that people are getting polarized more and more and more and more, because all the time, you know, you're getting bombarded with something that you like. You will watch the TV channels which support your point of view. You will read those newspapers which support your point of view. You will see those, you look for those Google News which interest you. You look for such Facebook or Insta posts which interest you. So हर जगह से आप अपने आसपास एक खाई जैसा बना रहे हैं जिसी के अंदर ही आप रहते हैं. This is techno future. Gadgets were supposed to liberate us. Gadgets have not liberated us because our mind is the same. It's only we have more and more time for doing some of the things. That is the advantage. But it has not helped us. It has not changed us. It has merely changed our situation. You might have heard of the joke that everybody wants change, but nobody wants to change. आपको बदलाव चाहिए लेकिन आपको बदलना नहीं है. आपको अपने आप को बदलना नहीं है. आपको सिर्फ परिस्थिति बदले ऐसा चाहिए. परिस्थिति बदल के कैसी होगी? आपके फायदे की होगी तभी ना. Situation should change means what? Situation should change in my favor. It should be, if it is already in my favor, it should be even more in my favor. It should not be again less in my favor. But I am not going to change. Now, if that is the situation, how do you expect that thing will move? This is what you are going to face in the techno future. At every point of time, you are going to face the computer trying to restrict our moves. And if you do not want this, this is the real educated paradigm shift we want in the education system and in our family system, to make our children, not just directly our children, but the entire coming up generations, which should be more and more open to ideas. At least they should be open to the ideas to the extent that they are not trying to kill the idea or the diversity. कहाँ कहाँ तक लोग देखते हैं आज के दिन ये रानी के ये 4 दिन से ये चल रहा है रानी का फ्यूनरल का, right? You must have seen the coffin different taken from one place to another place and from there to the third place. Just today I read a remark on Facebook by my cousin that Britain is already a highly diverse, racially diverse society. They have got people from all skin tones. Now, in all the 8 pallbearers, all throughout, there was not one person of color. All of them were whites. Why? Of course, an excuse will simply come that this pallbearer thing is a royal, it's a well-established tradition that people from certain regiments only will come and do the pallbearer's work. That is, they will carry the coffin. And if there are no persons of color in that particular regiment, then so bad, but it cannot be helped. ये जो है सो है. हाँ, ये बात सही है. But then this is the question. Today it was not, today it never occurred to anybody in power. But it is this question has already started floating in the media. Maybe 10 years down the line, somebody they will require कि नहीं ये guards में भी तुम at least दिखावे के बहाने भी you recruit certain certain non-whites, I'm sorry, certain persons of color, certain women. All the pallbearers all the while were male. Just at the last moment, just I saw 10 minutes back, there was one woman in uniform. That's all. Otherwise, each and every person in the entire military parades that were held till now, they were all white men. Now, the question, this is not techno future. Techno future will be tomorrow, but it will depend on the values we hold today and the human angle we will hold tomorrow. You remember that all computers work on what are called algorithms. To put that very simply, they are programmed in a certain way. They are programmed in a particular way. Just that programming is merely a mimicking of the mind of the programmer. Programmer जो सोचता है वही चीज वो कंप्यूटर से करवाना चाहता है. Okay, because that requires being explicit. Your computer program is a very explicit thing. So you have to be very explicit at that. And therefore, when you write that program, now a time has come when you should you should examine your own values. कि भाई हमारी values आज क्या है? You may not be able to see what this will bring, but are you even conscious that our values have limitations? And that is where I would like to end the note. I think I have taken a little more time than what Rajiv has given me. Thank you very much. And I welcome any questions at any later time. I'll be very happy for that. Thank you. Rajiv Bhaiya.